we finally have the Marble League. Finally. After the long slate that was 2024 with a 100-day-long content fodder tournament that barely saw any other expansion of the channel's online presence, Sand Rally sadness, and possibly one of the M1 seasons of all time, we are here at the highest stage of marble sports. These false starts are gonna kill me. Let's see who has a good chance at making it to the main league, and who has as good a chance as making it to the main league as the Indigo Stars making it to Marbula 1. Ooh, starting off with an absolute banger. What do you want from the Turtle Sliders? I don't know even who to address for this bit. Their fans? Do they even have fans? The only way for them is up, and they still find a way to go down. I would say that failure is your only trait you've picked up since your founding, but the Indigo Stars exist. Kind of. You found a way to not get relegated simply by not being one of the newer teams. 2 silvers in the Showdown Wave and Relay show they can still do something as a team. Maybe this year is your year, Sliders, because something, the definition of insanity. Back in 2020, I compared the Crazy Cat's Eyes to the Brewers and the Clippers. Congrats on doing the complete opposite of the Brewers and Clippers by actually winning a championship. So much for being the team that only shows up in Marbula 1 and never the Marble League, because they're showing up and showing out in both. Like it or not, this is the greatest run we've ever seen from a team. Their roster is stacked. Red-Eye might actually be him. When they're not outscoring entire teams in the Marble League, they're outscoring entire teams in Marbula 1. The Cat's Eyes are in serious contention for going back-to-back this season. No worries about qualifiers because you're auto-qualified. I, for one, welcome our new cat overlords. Oh, please, oh Rangers, please do well. The Marble League's own Broncos rode to a championship almost a decade ago, and they've been trying and failing to get back to the top. I still don't recognize 2020 in this house. 2023 was not great for you. A gold in maze and bronzes in triathlon and hurdles put you firmly in 10th. Even Marbula 1 saw you playing down to competition. One of these days, you'll score points at home. I don't have any worries about you in qualifiers because JMR depends on the O-Rangers and Savage Speeders being in the Marble League. That being said, as the biggest and most biased O-Rangers fan, I look forward to my yearly heart palpitations in qualifiers. The Balls of Chaos, something, desk lids, something, heads on backwards, something, ya trash. You missed out on qualifying by 1 point last year. I think it's gonna be a lot more than 1 point this year. 2 back-to-back goose eggs in the showdown almost made you rightfully stay there, but 2 bronzes let you be mid to keep you from relegation. At least Clutter and Tumult will always have Marbula 1 Disarray and Anarchy? Why are you robbing us of butter, Harmony? Why do you still have a job, Harmony? The worst point average in the league's history, to not qualifying, to being unwatchable in the showdown and Marbula 1? Better coaches have been fired for less. Maybe this year is the year that BOC gets some real change going their way, or maybe they still have some chaos in store for us. The Raspberry Racers have always been a solid team. They are very much like the Chiefs, running around with their heads cut off and receivers with feet for hands, but still managing back-to-back Super Bowls because God is dead. Even though this marks the 5th season removed from their championship run, they've been pretty solid since then. 2023 saw them tied for first in their quals group, and then performed excitingly mid in the main tourney. Ruzzy putting the team on they back though in hurdles, and a team bronze in balancing let them settle at 7th overall. A far cry from the 5 medals in 2021 and 8 in 2019. Still, I'm not worried about the racers and quals, especially if block pushing is back on the docket. It'll be a cold day in hell when the Razzies miss out. Wow, I don't even remember the last time I talked about the solar flares. Consider this a 2-year performance review. Overall performance, you trash. Despite a goose egg to start off the showdown, you did just enough to beat the Minty Maniacs. That's the power of taking bronze in Wave and Embers scorching their way to 5th place in the finale. Still a lot better than the 3 goose eggs you scored in 2022. The league's forgotten stepchild has still yet to properly find their footing in their 3 years. But the Stars haven't found their footing in 5 years, and the Kobalts haven't found their footing in 9 years, so matter of perspective or something. It's not the easiest thing to completely write off teams, but I mean, if the Pinkies can win a championship, even the Solar Flares can at least act like they want to get past qualifiers. The Thunderbolts are due for a name change. There's nothing striking about them. In the Marble League, they're only known for a bronze at the beginning, dumping inventory, and doing f***ing nothing with the current core. After a terrible 2022 in which they were almost relegated, they bounced back to a league appearance and an on-brand 13th place finish. But all that glitters isn't gold, and the team with the longest active gold drought knows that better than anyone. Their podium drought finally ended with 2 silvers last year. The Marble League gold drought continues. The pain for their dozens of fans doesn't f***ing end. Even in Marbula 1, they're still better known as the team that almost died at Sakura Garden. Let's see if they'll shake things up by being good for once, or if they'll still be the same old bolts. Oh look, another podium spot for the Savage Speeders. Everyone wants to write off the Speeders, but I'm not sleeping on them until they're dead and buried. Even then, they might necromancer back because their existence sells tickets. They took 3rd overall last year and their fans already want to jump ship. Get ready for another championship run from them, because as soon as one Boston team collapses, another rises to the top. Although in Marbula 1 Season 5, they looked beautifully mortal, though with 3/4 of overall podiums involving them, I wouldn't be shocked if they win with 7 golds because fun has always been f***ing cancelled. You're used to hearing the Speeders. You're auto-qualified. Please let this be an off year for them. The Pinkies are in pretty new territory. They are good. Still need to get used to saying that. They hauled in 5 medals last year with Panther and Toe, ending the season on a high note. Plus, those team medals in Wave and Tug of War showed that they can still cook as a unit. Still, 2 10th place finishes, 2 14th place finishes, and 4 11th place finishes completely tanked their dynasty bid. 4 points from the podium. 7 points from repeating as champions. Please don't prove me wrong, Pinkies. Or, right? Look, this is the winning you should have been doing this whole time, so keep doing it. We've seen the 4th place curse nab arguably better teams. Don't let yourselves be one of them. Do I really have to talk about the jumpers? Do I really have to dedicate neurons to thinking about them? I only have like 2 left. That silver that Jump got you in Sand Rally was your first medal since Leap's Funnel Bronze in 2021. That's the power of actually showing up for the Sand Rally. Yeah, I know that was from 2017, but I'm never letting you live that down. I just want to write you off as the worst team in the Marble League, but I can't because the Oceanics exist. Although the Oceanics have been up and up with their rookie duo. Maybe you can do the same by just throwing your current roster off a cliff like 2020 qual funnels and starting over. This team is only good for playing spoiler in the showdown, cause no way are they qualifying this year. Team Momo is best team. I'm predicting Team Momo wins all 16 golds and Momo gets named MVP through my own unbiased thought and not because someone's threatening to Marson the studio just off screen. Momo. You almost beefed your season early, but 2 silvers in qualifiers got you a spot in the main show, where you proceeded to take 12th. At least you got a gold medal, which is more than the Thunderbolts can say. Team Momo is just that team that's impossible to hate. Actually, unbiased opinion this time. Team Momo deserves their success. They almost had everything in 2021, but squandered that chance away. Ever since, they've been getting in their own way trying to get to the top. They'll always have Momo's Marbula 1 Season 4 run because they were pathetic in Season 5. We like a good underdog story. Maybe they can deliver? Team Plasma came back to life in 2022 and immediately started playing both sides of the fence. Is it better to be the best of the worst teams or worst of the best teams? ¿Por qué no las dos? You even won your group in the qualifiers last year. The hype train derailed and it didn't even last a full 12 months. 117 points in the 8 showdown events to 109 points in a full 16. The golden steeplechase gave you a false sense of security, but then you came back to Earth like those former Pac-12 teams realizing they're in an actual conference. Guess we gotta see what this season holds. There's no way you can be worse than this. I mean, I suppose you could always backslide into the showdown, but you're not gonna do that, right? Right? The Snowballs qualified for the first time ever last year, and had a pretty solid season for the fact that they have never had solid seasons. Golds in sprint and triathlon, along with bronzes in maze and sand rally, essentially doubled the medal and point totals in their team's history. I guess I gotta give you kudos, Snowballs. Congrats on not being trash for once. Seems like you've got a hold on the whole success thing with your various cook sessions in Marbula 1. Also helps that we have a Winter Marble League, and you didn't fare all that bad when you hosted. Call me overly ambitious, but I actually think you have a shot at qualifying again. Maybe you could even score more points, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Sorry in advance if I end up jinxing you. The Solar Flares and the Wolfpack in the same qualifier round? We are absolutely feasting with these poverty franchises. Their showdown medal count totals to 2 golds, 1 silver. Oh, that's it? I guess we all can't beat Team Plasma. Last year's showdown was pretty touch and go for you, but mostly go and not a lot of touch. That doesn't sound right. Y'all were trash in 2/3 of the events, but still finished 4th. Though, in all fairness, I think you got a ways to go before you qualify. Or maybe you could bust out an incredible run out of nowhere to stun everyone. Like, that'll happen. Team Primary? More like Team Cry-Mary, am I right? Look, I've been doing this for 5 years. I'm tired. So, that hard carrot doesn't seem to be working how you wanted it, eh? Let him take the wheel and steer your team right off of a cliff. Arab's a regular deer in headlights and they only have themselves to blame. Even the redeeming factors were dead and gone with a fat nada in M1 Season 5. Really, Primary? This is your captain? Marbula 1 prowess was what got him the job in the first place. Maybe it's time for Rima to get a turn at the helm. I have seen medical cadavers with more life than your franchise. I got a feeling that your fans want off this carousel of captains you've been on for half a decade now. It's obvious that the Blunder twins are dead weight. Cut them loose if you want any success to happen. Or maybe you just need to hit a hard reboot on your team. Why can't Mellow Yellow just make things easy on me? 2023 was yet another year of Mellow Yellow keeping it too mellow and almost beefing their season. This just fits my theory that they're working from the outside in. 1 point saved them from missing out, and they used that near miss to fuel a miserable performance to an 11th place finish. Didn't you win the whole league 3 years ago or something? The hell happened to that? A gold in balancing, strangely enough, and a bronze in elimination race let them keep their watchability, but outside of that, it was just bad. They've never missed out, and quite frankly, they won't start now. Prepare them to take 4th overall through some sheer nonsense. Speaking of nonsense, the Rojo Rollers. Everyone expects you to die out on the field, but you mess around and go on a run. I didn't think you'd do well last year, since you don't tend to do well at all. I didn't even think you'd qualify. You got 5th in just your 3rd appearance. A gold in RNG simulator, silvers in steeplechase and balancing, and a bronze in wave made it look like they could have had an underdog season like the Pinkies of 22. However, poor finishes in hurdles and relay kept them true to Rollers form. I don't know how they'll do. They never qualify at the same time as the Bees, but the Bees didn't need to qualify last year or this year. I'm just gonna say they'll go back to the showdown and save me any disappointment. The Bumblebees quickly went from one of the teams of all time to one of the hottest teams in the league. A falter like 3 years ago made them get their act together, and they've been cooking ever since. The Bees were 1 point or 1 correctly scored steeplechase away from becoming the first host team to win the league. Bumble cooked as a captain, and the team cooked as a unit. With how they performed, you might even call it a hive mind. Despite coming oh so close to winning a championship on home turf, a silver overall is still the best result for a host team in Marble League history because the host curse doesn't f***ing exist. They will be a team to watch out for this year, especially since they're auto-qualified. Buzz, motherfucker. I want to talk about decent teams, and instead I gotta talk about the Limers. What about the Fruit Circuit teams winning every odd year, huh? Couldn't even be bothered to qualify last year. You f***ing up the vibes, Limers. You could have at least won the showdown, but you couldn't even do that. You didn't even podium. No. It gets better. You couldn't even get on a podium in the showdown. The closest you came was 4th in Swing Wave. Everything else was mid at best or Goo Lime in Sand Rally at worst. You are unwatchable, yet somehow not relegated. Be trash like you always are, flop in the showdown like you always do, and stay there for the foreseeable future, please, and thank you. The Midnight Wisps definitely live up to the first syllable in their name. A bronze and a silver in the first half of the league got canceled out by 3 15th place finishes and a 16th place finish to settle them at 8th out of 16 teams. The way they've performed in the last few years with the whole almost getting relegated if relegation was still a thing, and the 15th place finish the following year thing, almost makes me forget that they're the 2018 champion. They look severely overdue for a change in their roster. I don't think the Wisps are showdown worthy, but an 8th place finish is probably all they could manage now. The clock is about to strike midnight on their ability to be a true contender again. Welcome back to the qualifiers, Kobalts. It's been a while, hasn't it? Let's see if you can make it farther this year, but I'm not holding my breath at all. If you somehow manage to qualify, I would be pleasantly surprised. As mainstays of the showdown, you know how to win it when nothing is on the line. Though when you face relegation, you look like you just crawled out of a cobalt mine. Seriously though, your fans need f***ing something positive. It took them a year to see Royal, and they saw Royal for all the wrong reasons. At least they knew how to win an M1 race in the showdown, so you could actually be here. The most Cerulean could do is win the individual championship and... Oh man. This is not a good omen. Team Galactic is one of those teams that should be way better than they've performed. An overall bronze in 2022 looks like a fluke showing amidst a sea of unfunny 5 jokes that kept them relevant. Still not the worst podium hangover we've seen. Not naming any names, Thunderbolts. This is the moment that Team Galact 5th becomes Team Galact 6th. Keep in mind though, the year before they finished 2nd, they took 5th in the showdown. Leave it to your Captain Cosmo to do nothing. But here comes Starry to also do nothing. But M1 is where they get to show off their ability of doing nothing. Jeez, they really took their game checks from 2022 and pieced the f*** out of last year. You wanna actually try now? I mean, you might need some help this time around. Or maybe another podium run is in store for us. Who knows? Ah yes, the Indigo Stars. You know, I'm starting to think they actually don't exist. This team doesn't perform well and they don't get invited to anything decent. The league's punching bag continues to get punched down as they get passed over for inferior teams. Oh, but they won the showdown. Whatever. Winning the showdown totally has a precedent for success. Their fans once again have to wait an entire calendar year just to watch them probably f***ing fail in the qualifiers. The Stars use their history not as failures to learn from, but as a handbook to copy and paste year in and year out. If they qualify, it would be by the thinnest of margins, or they could always get screwed by 1 point and end up back in the showdown. No matter what tournament they end up in, there will still be 15 teams more interesting to watch than them. The Hazers country found a way to ride back to the qualifiers after nearly beefing it in the first half of the showdown. Pay no attention to the disastrous showings in team events. Let's just focus on Misty showing why they're captain and why Hazy is dead in absentia. 1 gold in a sand event means they'll get medals in like 2 league events, assuming they get that far. You know I love me a good bridesmaid metaphor, and the fact that I can keep milking that joke makes me so happy. Look at this. The Hazers might actually make an overall podium in Marbula 1. A non-zero chance to not choke it away. Let's see what happens. Look at that. The Hazers taking 3rd in a major tournament. Could you imagine? Just hope that block pushing doesn't make a return to qualifiers. Though with the team not competing as a team, I say they have bigger issues. The gliding Glaciers glide for nothing resembling a podium. 2021 was just a fluke showing, and the last couple of years have been a brutal snapback to reality. These glaciers are melting like never before. Your only medal was from Sheet in the RNG simulator. As a team, you could barely do anything. You got 4th in Wave and another 4th place in Steeplechase because controversy. Yes, Steeplechase was trash and JMR couldn't recreate that 2017 magic, but ball don't lie. The Glaciers were garboni last season, and no one hardly noticed because they were focused on Plasma curling up into a corner to die. Now, what is it with these snow/water teams getting fluke bronzes before going back to being trash? You are about to go to the showdown so hard is what I would say if you weren't hosting this season for whatever reason. Hey, humans are having a summer games this year. Let's do a winter games because that makes sense. You are so lucky you are auto-qualified. Host curse, schmost curse. This season is going to be so bad for you because you are just a bad team. The Shining Swarm is a painful team to watch. Almost makes you forget they almost won in 2021 and 2022. Of course, it's hard to forget their stint in the showdown before that and their inevitable collapse to the showdown this year. 14th overall, with Sterling giving you your only medal with a ticky-tack win in funnels. Now this is a podium hangover. Looking back to what I said about this team in 2020, I didn't talk about this team in 2020. They were in the middle of being relegated. Why would I have talked about them? This team is the New York Giants. Mediocrity after mediocrity, yet they still somehow beat my team because I can't have anything nice. Watch them take 14th place in the showdown this year. It would do us all a favor. The Green Ducks are that hot newish team that exceeded expectations but then crashed back to earth. The MVP season for Mallard on home turf followed up with them failing to qualify for the first time in franchise history. But that didn't faze them. 2 medals in the first 2 showdown events let them coast to a podium spot because these are still the Green Ducks. Even Billy and Mallard looked great in M1 after an off year in Season 4. Go on, Ducks. Bounce back like you always do. Might be a hot take, but I honestly see the Ducks winning this year. After the Pinkies win, anything is possible. Gotta love the Chocolatiers. Just kidding, no you don't. The Chocolatiers on paper should perform like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. What we get instead is the Willy Wonka experience. A Ponzi scheme of a team that sucks all the joy and whimsy out of the competition and reduces children to tears. But you got a silver overall in the showdown. Whoop-de-doo. Turn that into a silver overall in the Marble League and shut me up. I really gotta stop saying that. The Chocolatiers live in a world of pure imagination because you can only imagine that the Chocolatiers will ever do well. You haven't been good since... you haven't been good. Hey, remember when you qualified top in your group and finished with 1 bronze and a bajillion bottom half finishes? Keep performing like this and I might just end up making a video about you. 12 teams will miss out on qualifying to join the 4 relegated teams in the showdown. Now, obviously, I don't have the groups. I don't need the groups. I will be wildly incorrect anyway. Let's just jinx some teams. My picks for these shadow band teams are Solar Flares, Kobalts, Jungle Jumpers, Limers, Rojo Rollers, Balls of Chaos, nothing too crazy here. Shining Swarm, Indigo Stars, Snowballs, Thunderbolts, Midnight Wisps, and Raspberry Racers. We're due for a huge shakeup. Let's see how poorly this ages in a few weeks. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go back to what I was doing. Procrastinating on making this video. Peace!
Red Eye. onto the straightaway. They've fallen back from 1st to 11th in the standings, and now Crazy Cat's Eyes have clawed their way back to become Marble League champions.